We're in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. We're just 2 hours south of Abbottabad, where Osama bin Laden was killed recently. And we wanted to see what life is like here, post Osama bin Laden, how people are reacting to the fact that he was living here for 5 years.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. And on nights like this one, we can say to those families who have lost loved ones to Al-Qaeda's terror, justice has been done.
So we're on our way to Abbottabad right now. We're about 70 kilometers away, and it's an army place. The town itself, military garrisons, a huge army presence. It's considered to be the safest city in Pakistan, which is the irony of the fact that bin Laden was found there. What we've been told is that the house itself, bin Laden's compound, there's a perimeter of army guys around it. So we're going to try and get as close as we can to it. But we'll see how much success we have.
कैसे हैं आप खैरियत से ठीक ठाक हैं
आर्डर बिल्कुल नहीं है गोरे और वीडियो इसीलिए हम खड़े हैं रास्ते
तो ये गोरा तो नहीं है
ना पाकिस्तान के लिए आर्डर नहीं है अपने वीडियो के लिए
अच्छा
किसी का आर्डर नहीं
So the police stopped us. They turned us around. So we're going to try a different route, go around the block, and see if we can access the compound from another way. So we're walking around the backside now. See how far we can get. Probably not very far because there's guys with guns not far from us.
ठीक है सर प्लीज
आर्डर नहीं है ना
प्लीज सर
हमें किसी यहाँ पे कोई भी शॉट लेना या कोई भी तस्वीर लेना है यहाँ पे आर्डर नहीं है ना हम देने देंगे
सारी दुनिया ने बनाया है मैं मतलब ये कह दिया
वो ठीक है लेकिन उस वक्त था उस वक्त सारी दुनिया भी बना रही थी उधर लेकिन अभी सिविल लोग जो सिविल कपड़ों में यहाँ से अंदर एंटर नहीं होते सिवाय यहाँ के रेस
इधर इधर ही खलो खाली मैं इतना करना है खाली इतना करना तो मतलब शॉट लेना और कुछ नहीं कर वीडियो पता लगेगा अगर अगर
नहीं आता है
देखो मैं नहीं रिकॉर्ड का बटन नहीं
Zoom curtain. So this is kind of ridiculous. After bin Laden was killed, the compound was apparently open for a few days. The journalists were showing up and people were picnicking around there. And now there's a perimeter of cops and army, so you can't even get close to the house. We still managed to steal some shots anyway. But we wanted to find the guy who actually broke the story. His name is Abrar Rashid. He lives in Abbottabad and he works for Pakistani network Geo Television. So you were basically one of the first reporters on the scene.
Yeah, I was the first reporter who was at the scene, and I am the first person who broke that story at that particular night. Although I didn't know who was the high-value target until and unless that President Obama claimed next morning, it was morning time Pakistan, that Osama bin Laden was killed in Abbottabad.
So since I've arrived in Pakistan, I've heard a lot of people say that it was highly unlikely that bin Laden lived in that house, in this town. What is your view on that?
To tell you frankly, I'm unable to believe that Osama bin Laden was here in the first place. Like so many other Pakistanis, it's very hard for me to believe that he was here, and especially the people of Abbottabad. I mean, if you go around and interview a common man on the streets, and if you go around and interview a certain officials, businessmen, traders or journalists, nobody would tell you that he believes that Osama bin Laden was here. Living in Abbottabad, which is a garrison town, and his compound is hardly a kilometer away from Pakistan's military academy. And I'm sure his family members were there, but Osama bin Laden wasn't there. I think it's a very mysterious kind of circumstances, and unfortunately government of Pakistan and Pakistani military authorities have added more into this mystery.
Zarar Amjad is an 11-year-old boy who lived across the street from the bin Laden compound. He was the boy who played cricket, and when his ball would go across over the wall into the compound, they wouldn't give him the ball back, but a man would give him 50 rupees. After May 2nd, when bin Laden was killed, he became a bit of a celebrity. तो आप मुझे बताएं, आप अब बहुत ही मशहूर हो गए हैं, आप बहुत famous हैं आप बाद में. Can you tell me about living across from the house? Did you see the people that lived inside?
जी
अच्छा, और किस तरह के लोग थे?
वो लोग नदीम अंकल बहुत अच्छे थे। वो मेरी दादू की 2 मरतबा डॉक्टर के पास लेकर गए। वो जब भी वो सामने आए बहुत अच्छे थे। हम उनके साथ जब भी मैं उनके घर जाता था, उनके बच्चों के साथ खेल रहा होता था, वो बास बैठे होते थे, हमें देख रहे होते थे, और हम क्रिकेट खेलते थे, आम बातें क्रिकेट खेलते थे और चीज़ें खेलते थे। वो बहुत अच्छे लोग थे।
और आप घर में आप कितने दफ़े गए उस घर में?
उस घर में मैं काफ़ी मरतबा गया था।
आपने कभी देखा उसामा बिन लादेन को? कभी
नहीं कभी नहीं देखा।
अच्छा।
वो उनके घर में 3 ही बच्चे थे जो कभी पूरी ज़िंदगी में मेरे सामने आए। हमेशा मेरे सामने 2 ही बच्चे आते थे, ना 3 ही बच्चे आते थे, जिनमें 2 लड़के और 1 लड़की होती थी। लड़की तो मेरे साथ नहीं खेलती थी, 2 लड़के मेरे साथ खेलते थे। वो कंप्यूटर के बारे में कौन सी गेम्स हैं, मैंने कहा आपके पास कंप्यूटर है? कहते हैं नहीं हमारे पास नहीं है। आप कौन सी गेम्स खेलते हो? बस ये वो पूछते थे। मैं उनके घर में बहुत मरतबा जाता, उन बच्चों के साथ खेलता था।
अब जब आपको पता चल गया है कि यार कि उस घर में ओसामा रहता था, तो आप क्या समझते हो कि अगर आपको पता होता तो आप अंदर जाते?
हाँ
क्या
लेकिन इधर था नहीं, मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि इधर नहीं था। लेकिन अगर पता लगता तो, अगर ये पहले में पता होता तो मैं तो जाता, अंदर जाके मिलता उससे।
क्यों?
वैसे
Thank you. Shukriya. He was saying, for 5 years I lived across the street from this house. I played with the kids in the compound. I went into the house. He said the kids spoke different languages. They spoke Arabic or Pashto. And he saw one guy, Uncle Nadim, who was the guy who took care of the wives in the compound. He would get all the supplies. But he said he never saw a tall man that looked like Osama bin Laden. We're on the campus of the AU Medical College. We're going to walk around and try and find some students, see if they'll talk to us, give us some dirt, see if they're believing the hype or if they think it's a conspiracy like everyone else in this country.
Like, how is that possible that such a, like, America's most wanted man is living here and nobody noticed?
And at the same time, this controversy going on that this was actually Obama's stunt to win the elections, then that even makes us more skeptic about the whole scenario, like whether it is true or whether it's not true. And me and my sister, we actually went and saw his house, like the house that they say is Osama's house. Anyways, it looks like a regular house, and it's right next to the Pakistan Military Academy, again as she said.
What doesn't make sense to me is that Saddam was publicly hanged. America was after this man for so long. He was one of America's most wanted, and he was publicly hanged. Yeah. And now Osama bin Laden, another man that America really wants to capture, and they don't even show the dead body. Like, how does that make sense?
The funniest part of the whole thing was that he was hiding here for 7 years. 7 years.
Serious?
7 years. Not even a week. 7 years.
Has life in this town changed at all since then?
Not at all. That was just the same. That was just one day.
Yeah,
One day. That was just one day.
We're all over it. We're all like moving on with
We
our
have
lives.
lives.
If bin Laden lived here and Pakistan knew, then Pakistan is a rogue state. If bin Laden lived here and Pakistan didn't know, then Pakistan's a failed state. You know, that's one way to look at it. The average Pakistani would probably not agree. because most people are saying, how do we even know for sure that he was here? Where is the proof? Where was the body? And when you go to Abbottabad and you see the house where he lived, it's like, really? He lived in there? That house is a piece of shit. It doesn't change history. In the annals of history, Osama bin Laden died in Abbottabad on May 2nd, 2011. That's fine. Ultimately, bin Laden was dead. That's all that matters. But that's just bin Laden. This country as a whole is having some serious problems right now. Since May 2nd, the number of drone attacks have escalated. There seems to be something happening every day. And also the response from the Taliban has increased. There are suicide bombers attacking everywhere, all over the country. We are back in Peshawar, and we are on our way to a bomb site, suicide bomb attack, police station. Every day there's something that's happening here in Peshawar. The terrorists are definitely stirring up the pot. Yesterday, the Pakistani Taliban, the TTP, they sent a suicide bomber in to the CID. It's the Crime Investigation Department. This happened yesterday morning. 8 people died, and they were avenging May 2nd Osama bin Laden assassination. They pulled out 2 police officers from the basement who were still alive, and they're looking for bodies and trying to, clear the wreckage right now.
Since 9/11, at least 35,000 people lost their lives in this so-called war against terror and being American ally in this war. 5,300 military personnel lost their life. 68 to 69 billion dollars Pakistan suffered this loss. And against that amount, Pakistan got $20 billion, out of which I think $13 billion were paid to the Pakistan military and $7 to $8 billion to the civilian government. Pakistan has sacrificed a lot, and in return what we have got? Humiliation, taunts, and demands of do more, do more. Americans and the Western world should realize Pakistan's sacrifices, and now they should be aware of another thing, that there are very, very strong anti-American sentiments in Pakistan. Not only in the general public, not only in the common masses, but now even in the media. Even no political leader, even the popular political parties can publicly praise America anymore, because they know that they can face the backlash.
There's another smaller bomb site. A convoy of cars from the U.S. consulate drove by here a few days ago. And there was a car situated right here. It exploded when the Americans drove by. It was a Taliban attack, and yet another example of how the Osama bin Laden assassination is affecting this country. Now we have to try and track down someone from the Taliban, get on the phone with these fucking assholes and find out what they're thinking. I'd been trying to interview the Taliban for over 6 months, but had no luck in tracking them down. On this trip, I met 2 journalists from the tribal areas, the kind of guys that the Taliban call after a suicide bomb to claim responsibility. I wrote down some questions for them to ask on my behalf. Well, I would love to get on the phone with the Taliban. Can we try to call them and see if we can speak to them?
We check if there is any possibility.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. We were trying to call the spokesperson for the Taliban on the landline from the office. We were getting a busy signal, and then 2 minutes after that, the other guy's cell phone rings, and it's him.
Hello. پدا کې څه حکمت عملی ده چې دا د اسامه مرګ نه تاسو په غټ لیول حمله شروع کړې دا ولې
په دغه حکمت عملی په وجه باندې موږ یو خصوصي حکمت عملی اعلان کړی دی د اسامه بن لادن د شهادت لپاره د هغې د لاندې موږ جګړه کوو او انتهایي کوشش هم دی چې عوامو ته نقصان کم ورسي بلکې چې بالکل ورته موږ وایي دا زموږ کوشش نه
که چېرته امریکا د افغانستان لاړه شي بهر ته لاړ شي نو تاسو به په پاکستان یا په افغانستان کې جنګ پرېږدئ
په پاکستان او د امریکې د افغانستان د وتلو د پاکستان د جنګ سره هېڅ تعلق نشته چې د پاکستان نظام موږ څو پورې بدل کړی نه څو پورې اسلامي قانون قایم کړی نه وي زموږ په پاکستان کې جنګ جاري
په امریکا کې چې کوم ځوانان دي د امریکا ځوانانو لپاره دغه لپاره تاسو کوم پیغام دی تاسو وایي تاسو
نو د امریکایي ځوانانو ته خو زموږ دا پیغام دی چې دوی حکومت چې کوم دی دا په مسلمانانو باندې ظلم کوي او د مسلمانانو سره د بربریت او د وحشیت هغه کوم کردار چې کوم دی هغه کومه نمونه چې دا هغه پیش کوي په کله چې د خپل حکومت مخالفت وکړي او د مسلمانانو باندې ظلم بند کړي یعنې بیا به دوی د تحریک طالبان او چې څومره اسلامي ډلې د هغوی د حملو په ضد کې به یعنې د تحریک طالبان خپل مقصد دا ګرځولی دی چې په پاکستان کې به اسلامي نظام راولي او چې چېرته ظالم وي نو د هغه لاس کوي.
According to the spokesperson for the Pakistani Taliban, the party line is that they're only after government institutions, but the reality is very different. In the communities, people have been terrorized, kidnapped, and killed by the Taliban. And because the army and the police have failed to help these people, a lot of them have formed their own militias called Lashkars, and they've taken matters into their own hands. I'm standing outside of Fahim Khan's place. He's the head of the Lashkar, which is a militia that protects the neighborhood, the village, and the people that live here. We're right on the edge of the Khyber tribal agency. And these guys had to pick up arms when the government and the police failed to beat the Taliban down. He's agreed to meet us. He normally doesn't do interviews with anyone. So we're going to go in. Assalamu alaikum.
लश्कर हमने इसलिए बनाया कि आज से 2-2.5 साल पहले जो यहाँ के हालात थे और सिक्योरिटी के जो हालात थे तो कोई आदमी अपने घर से निकलता तो उसका पता नहीं था कि घर पहुँचेगा कि नहीं पहुँचेगा. तो ये लोग इतने मजबूत हो चुके थे कि दिन दहाड़ यहाँ पर आते थे और लोगों को मारते थे और उठा कर ले जाते थे. ये जो मसला शुरू हुआ है तो हुकूमत तो इसमें बिल्कुल नाकाम हो चुकी थी और पुलिस भी नाकाम हो चुकी थी.
तो आपका आम पेट्रोल कैसे होता है? गाड़ी में करते हैं या चौके करते हैं?
तो गाड़ी में भी करते हैं और इस तरह भी करते हैं. जिस तरह पहले हम पर हमला हो तो सारे गांव वाले आते और यहाँ हम लोगों को काबू किया. इसी तरह जिस गांव में भी अटैक होता है तो सब हम इधर से जाते हैं, वो हमारे लिए आते हैं. तकरीबन 1 महीने पहले की बात है कि हमारे नैब सरबराह मुकम्मिल शाह खान, इसकी चचा का बेटा था, गरीब टैक्सी ड्राइवर था. उसको उन्होंने उठाया वहाँ बाड़े में ले जाकर उसको लोगों के सामने ज़बह किया. इसका सर अलहदा रखा और बॉडी अलहदा रखी. तो इस तरह जुल्म ये करते हैं. उसका बदला भी हमने ले लिया 1 हफ्ते के अंदर अंदर, और बदला हम किसी को भी नहीं छोड़ते. तो इंशाल्लाह यहाँ पर हमारी जो टीम है वो बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है और बग़ैर लालच के कर रही है.
सब तो गिला करते हैं ना पुलिस से, हुकूमत से. नहीं, हम ना हुकूमत के लिए कर रहे हैं ना पुलिस के, अपने लिए कर रहे हैं.
They basically are saying we don't want to live the life that the Taliban wants to force on us, and they're protecting themselves, and they're doing a good job. I like them. They're a good vibe. Shukriya. He's a good man. Yeah, Zindabad. Okay. Pakistan is in a very, very critical time period right now. Probably the most dangerous and unstable time in its short history as a country. As we saw, you have the Lashkars who've picked up arms and are fighting the Taliban. Then there's the Taliban and the 30 splinter groups within it who are attacking police stations and government offices with suicide bombers and bomb blasts all over the country. And then there's the Americans who are sending in drone planes to target the militants in the tribal areas. This multi-front battle is playing out in real time in the media, which has exploded in Pakistan in the last 10 years. Right now there's almost 70 TV channels and 26 of them broadcast news 24 hours a day. It feels like the entire population of the country are news junkies with a morbid fascination for all the bad events happening in Pakistan right now. The first time we came to this region was in 2006 when we shot a documentary called The Gun Markets of Pakistan in a town called Dara Adam Khail. At the time, it was the largest illegal gun market in the world. It was one of the very first things that VICE ever filmed. We tried to go back when we filmed a follow-up to it called The Taliban in Pakistan, but it was impossible at that time. Just 4 kilometers that way is the gun market where we filmed 4 years ago. That area has been taken over by the Taliban. So before we left the country on this trip, we wanted to give it another try to see what the impact of the Taliban has been on this town. Taliban are still coming in, they're still fighting them, but my driver, Mohammed Khan, he's from there originally, so he's going to get us in. We're going to do a quick drive-by and see what it looks like in there. We're going into the Dara Adam Khel Bazaar, so let's see what we find. Bomb blaster?
Yes.
It's very, very different than it used to be.
Yeah.
A few shops open. Garbage strewn everywhere. 80% of the shops are closed.
5-6 साल पहले तो बहुत अच्छा वक्त गुजारा था दरे में। फिर उसके बाद जब तालिबान आ गया तो बहुत जो ना हमारे लिए बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो गया। अपने घर छोड़ दिया, बाल बच्चे वगैरह हर जगह बड़े बड़े तकलीफ़ हमें पहुँचे। मारता भी है और ले जाता भी है, ज़िंदा भी ले जाता है। अभी भी हमने अपने घर छोड़े, यहाँ क्वाड बाज़ार में इधर उधर जो है किराए पे मकान लिए हुए हैं और घर के लिए जो है ना मजदूरी मेहनत करके जो है ना कमाते हैं बस ये, और कुछ भी नहीं है।
It's creepy and spooky here, so we're going to get the hell out of this town. This is the end of 6 years of covering this place, and you know, and it's a microcosm of Pakistan as a whole. You could take any place in a city, in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Peshawar, or you could take the Dara Adam Khel market, and you see the decline. And this is an example, a small example, of the disintegration of this country. And I hope that it's going to hit bottom soon, because after that the only place to go is up. It's pretty bleak.